Hello and welcome! My name is Heather, I'm a registered professional counselor, and we're gonna watch Love is Blind Season 2.
So last night, Mallory and we had an argument. This person I was seeing before, yesterday, this person showed up to my sister's apartment.
So I'll just catch you up because I can't show you the whole scene due to copyright reasons, but basically Sal had an ex-girlfriend show up at his sister's place and she was really upset. And I guess Mallory was there and she heard about it. I don't know if they were actually physically there or not. I really wish that they showed us the clip or showed us Mallory and Sal's conversation about what happened with the ex showing up. I'm guessing it didn't get resolved or it didn't go over well because they slept in different bedrooms. But I feel like the sisters should have known that it was a bad idea to let the ex into their apartment. No? Also, just a reminder that everything I'm mentioning in these videos are complete speculation. I am not in a counseling session with these characters. I don't know them personally. It's not ethical to diagnose them from afar. The point of these videos is to use examples from the show to be able to talk about relationship concepts, psychology theories, and also communication styles and how we can improve them in our own lives.
It's hard for me to understand why somebody would go to that extent or those extremes if there wasn't some type of promise there that this was your girlfriend.
Mallory is concerned that Sal was being dishonest with her, especially with just the reaction and the behavior of the ex, and also the fact that she actually met Sal's sister. So she's wondering exactly how serious his relationship to this ex was and whether or not he either led the ex on or led Mallory on and just wasn't really honest about how serious the relationship was. And so now she's starting to question his intentions of going into the experiment or proposing to her.
We were never together. I never guaranteed anything to her. I was very upfront with her from the very beginning. I was like, you could see other people. I could see other people.
There is a possibility that Sal was lying to Mallory about the seriousness of the relationship with his ex. I mean, I think that's a pretty small chance just given what we've seen of him over the show. It seems like he has really clear communication with Mallory. Maybe it's just because he knows he's being filmed, so maybe he's just putting up an act. The other possibility is that the ex might have just misinterpreted what their relationship was, and that seems to be his explanation as to what's been going on. He said that he did have a clear conversation with her about them being able to see other people and his intentions of still going on the show. So maybe there was a misunderstanding on the ex's part, but she's getting mixed messages such as meeting his sisters, and you know, that might mean that it was a very serious step for her. So maybe she was just really confused as to what he really meant by it. And sometimes that does happen when we just kind of make assumptions about the other person's behaviors. So maybe there was some wishful thinking on the ex's part, and maybe she was hoping that Sal will change his mind about her and that he won't go on the show and he'll commit to just her. So it's hard to really say just because we didn't see their interaction, we don't know her. Before I forget, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to help support this channel.
Maybe I should have been more, I don't know, like just not hung out with her or whatever, cut it off there.
So it's a good sign that he's trying to think of the role that he contributed to the situation or to take responsibility for his own part. I can imagine how other people or other cast members might just blame it all on the ex for misunderstanding the situation, or blame the ex for being crazy, or even putting the blame on their partner for overreacting or for not trusting them or something like that. So I think Sal is really doing a good job just trying to take responsibility for his part, even though obviously he didn't tell the ex to show up. But this reaction is quite rare to see, especially when our partners are accusing us of being dishonest. Like, he's definitely has some differentiation going on. He's definitely pretty well balanced overall, and he has a good relationship with himself and his emotions. So I think this is a really great example of just showing us different ways that we can respond or react in conflict.
She knew your sisters, so she met your sisters. You hung out with them. Do you introduce just like every girl you date to your sisters?
Ooh. Mallory is trying to gauge how serious Sal's relationship with this ex was, especially because he brought this ex to meet his sisters and Mallory met his sisters, it could be perceived as like a really big step in one's relationship. Maybe that's how the ex perceived it as well. Maybe he didn't think of it as too big of a deal. Maybe he also wanted to bring this ex to meet his sisters because he wanted their opinions on what they thought of her. So there could be a number of reasons as to why he brought the ex to meet the sisters. Again, maybe he just didn't think it was a big deal, or it meant something different to him compared to Mallory or the ex. Plus, this ex seems comfortable enough to show up at his sister's place. I mean, again, it might have been completely unannounced. Maybe she's never done that before. Maybe she's not close with the sisters, or maybe she is and she felt comfortable enough to do that. What do you think? Do you think Sal was in a serious relationship with his ex? Let me know in the comments below.
If there's someone else that you like want to be with, or somewhere else you want to be, like, just tell me. Like, I would just rather you be honest with me than like me get hurt.
Mallory is basically giving Sal an opportunity to end the experiment or to end their relationship. And it's her way of trying to protect herself from getting hurt, because essentially the longer that they are in a relationship, and if they were to break up later, the more hurt that rejection is going to feel compared to if they were to break things off now. She's essentially just trying to give him a way out, but also she wants him to really just be honest about how he's feeling and his intentions for moving forward with the wedding with her. And I think she's doing a good job just communicating how she's feeling. She's being very open and very vulnerable and very clear with what her intentions are. We can probably imagine that someone in her position might get very angry or try to escalate the situation even more, or continue to accuse the partner of being dishonest. I think that this is a really good example of her just communicating her needs and her expectations to Sal, and also allowing him to essentially make the choice.
My focus is you, my focus is us right now. Anything outside of that, I don't care.
So far, so good. It seems like their conversations throughout the show have been pretty functional overall, but at times it seems like it's almost a bit reserved. Like there's some emotions, but there's not a whole lot. It's almost as if they're kind of in a presentation mode, I feel like sometimes. There's not a whole lot of affection. They do talk about their feelings. I've seen them get kind of teary-eyed or to start crying, but overall it seems like sometimes they're, I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's missing something.
I do love you a lot.
I love you too.
But overall, in this conversation, we do see some emotion from both sides. And that's ultimately what we want. We want to have functional, clear, clean communication that allows us to be vulnerable and allows the other person to be heard.
Nice.
So that is a good repair attempt. According to Gottman's research, a repair attempt is any statement or action, no matter how silly it may be, that prevents the negativity from escalating out of control. So Sal asked her, is it okay if I sit over there? And she said, sure. So this is great because he's trying to reach out to her. She accepts the repair attempt, and it's also an opportunity for the two of them to bond after the conflict. It's important that during times of conflict or disagreements that we try to offer these repair attempts as much as we can to prevent the conflict from escalating into full-blown arguments. And it's also important for the partner to recognize those repair attempts and also accept them. And it's not to say that you're brushing the disagreement or the issue under the rug, but it allows the two of you to come from a place of love and affection to find a resolution to the conflict.
If something else were to come up or come out, I don't think I'd be able to like work past that. We're done. Like, it's done.
Oh, wow. Whoa, I didn't see that coming. Is that really fair for her to say, though? I'm not really sure what she's talking in reference to. Like, is she talking about if something major comes up from Sal's past again, then she can't deal with it and she's gonna end the relationship? Or if there's like another issue that just pops up in their relationship that she's gonna end it? Because chances are things will continue to pop up just because they've only known each other for a short period of time. Unless he's got like a secret love child out there, I don't see why she would just say that she's going to end the relationship if something else comes up. And it's not like Sal invited the ex to go to his sister's place and to create all this drama or anything like that. Like, he can't control what other people do. And I can understand where Mallory is coming from. She just doesn't want to be blindsided by another ex or another big situation where there's drama, because she's wanting to prevent herself from getting hurt. And so that's kind of why she's saying this to Sal, is almost as if like, oh, you better make sure that there's nothing else like this that will happen in the future. Otherwise I'm out of here. I guess it's a way for him to try to figure out if, you know, she's missing any really big information or anything like that. But I mean, it's really hard to be able to say that and just to kind of dangle that as an ultimatum for the rest of the relationship, because chances are things will come up. I guess Sal can also try to think if there's anything that he's kept from her. Not like he was keeping it from her on purpose, but again, they just know each other for a short period of time. So maybe there are some things that he just forgot about or he didn't think was important. So I guess he can go over all that with her again, just to help ease any feelings of anxiety that she may have about, you know, future conflict. And maybe this can help reassure her so she doesn't feel blindsided, and just so she has all the information that she needs in order to go through with the marriage. So that could also be a possibility, I suppose.
And I feel like the conversations that we've had that have been hard, like, I'm happy that we just don't like shut down, or we're not just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
So she's wanting to revisit their past conversations, and she's acknowledging that they communicate very well and that they don't get reactive or shut down. So this is really good to, again, just recognize some of the things that do work in your relationship. Sal is trying to reconnect with Mallory after the conflict, and this is such an important step that a lot of couples miss. They tend to have conflict, it either gets resolved or not, and then they just kind of carry on with their lives. But this is actually a really important step for the couple, and this is something that I would recommend any of my couples that I see in my sessions to do if they do get into conflict. So something to keep in mind. And also, by having this gesture of doing something nice for Mallory, it can show her that he does care for her and help reassure her that she's the only one for him. Also, damn, Sal can cook. I think Sal is probably my favorite out of the guys in the show. I mean, he can cook, he can sing, he's got clear functional communication, he's close with his sisters. I mean, what more can you ask for?
This is just us like getting through that, getting past that.
Clean slate.
Yeah, it's a clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to say that getting emotional during a fight or a disagreement is necessarily a bad thing. What's more concerning is what Gottman would refer to as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That would be criticism, contempt, defensiveness, or stonewalling. So these can be described as communication styles, and according to research, depending on how often they show up in conflict or in communication with our partners, it can actually predict whether or not that relationship will end.
I do love you.
It's nice to see that they're reconnecting again, but I guess what confuses me about this couple is that there's not a whole lot of physical affection. For example, after making up after a fight, Nick and Danielle, they would hug each other, or there would be more physical affection. Whereas with Mallory and Sal, I mean, yeah, they're holding hands and they're looking lovingly into each other's eyes and they're saying all these really nice things. Maybe they're just not showing it on camera and they do have physical affection. Maybe they're just very cautious of the cameras being there and so they're a little bit more reserved. So generally speaking, physical affection can go a long way. So hugging them, holding them, giving them a kiss. Essentially what this does is it activates the parasympathetic system in our brains, which allows us to calm down and also feel a sense of closeness with our partner. So that's why physical affection is really important. It speaks volumes in a couple, and it's not to say that they don't have physical affection. Again, they are holding hands, they're looking lovingly into each other's eyes, but there's just a very toned down version between them, and that's something I noticed throughout the season as well. It's just we don't see a whole lot of physical affection. Even earlier when he said, "Oh, can I sit next to you?" I thought he was going to hug her. I thought they were going to hold each other, but he sits next to her, and then she basically said that if something else comes up, then she's going to leave him. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more analysis videos like this. Feel free to check out my other therapist reviews videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, be kind and love yourself.